The secondary oocyte retains bulk of the nutrient-rich cytoplasm of the primary oocyte. Can you think of any advantage for this? Does the first polar body, born out of first meiotic division, divide further or degenerate? At present, we are not very certain about this. The tertiary follicle further changes into the mature follicle or Graafian follicle, which is given in figure 3.7. The secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called zona pellucida surrounding it. The Graafian follicle now ruptures to release the secondary oocyte, which is ovum, from the ovary by the process called ovulation. Can you identify major differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis? A diagrammatic representation of spermatogenesis and oogenesis is given below, which is given in figure 3.8. 3.4 Menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycle in the female primates, example monkeys, apes, and human beings, is called menstrual cycle. The first menstruation begins at puberty and is called menarche. In human females, menstruation is repeated at an average interval of about 28 or 29 days, and the cycle of events starting from one menstruation till the next one is called the menstrual cycle. One ovum is released, which is ovulation, during the middle each menstrual cycle. The major events of the menstrual cycle are shown in figure 3.9. The cycle starts with the menstrual phase, when menstrual flow occurs and it lasts for 3 to 5 days. The menstrual flow results due to breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and its blood vessels, which forms liquid that comes out through vagina. Menstruation only occurs if the released ovum is not fertilized. Lack of menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. However, it may also be caused due to some other underlying causes like stress, poor health, etc. The menstrual phase is followed by follicular phase. During this phase, the primary follicles in the ovary grow to become a fully mature Graafian follicle, and simultaneously the endometrium of uterus regenerate through proliferation. These changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by changes in the levels of pituitary and ovarian hormones, which is given in figure 3.9. The secretion of gonadotropins LH and FSH increases gradually during the follicular phase and stimulates follicular development as well as secretion of androgens by the growing follicles. Both LH and FSH attain a peak level in the middle of the cycle, about 14th day. Rapid secretion of LH leading to its maximum level during the mid cycle, called LH surge, induces rupture of Graafian follicle and thereby the release of ovum, which is ovulation. The ovulation, which is ovulatory phase, is followed by luteal phase, during which the remaining part of the Graafian follicle transforms as the corpus luteum, which is given in figure 3.9. The corpus luteum secretes large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of endometrium. Such an endometrium is necessary for implantation of the fertilized ovum and other events of pregnancy. During pregnancy, all events of the menstrual cycle stop and there is no menstruation. In the absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates. This causes disintegration of the endometrium, leading to menstruation, marking a new cycle. In human beings, menstrual cycle ceases around 50 years of age, that is termed as menopause. Cyclic menstruation is an indicator of normal reproductive phase and extends between menarche and menopause. 3.5 Fertilization and implantation. During copulation, which is coitus, semen is released by the penis into the vagina, which is insemination. The motile sperms swim rapidly, pass through the cervix, enter into the uterus, and finally reach the ampullary region of the fallopian tube, which is given in figure 3.11b. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to the ampullary region where fertilization takes place. Fertilization can only occur if the ovum and sperms are transported simultaneously to the ampullary region. This is the reason why not all copulation lead to fertilization and pregnancy. The process of fusion of a sperm with an ovum is called fertilization. During fertilization, a sperm comes in contact with the zona pellucida layer of the ovum, which is given in figure 3.10, and induces changes in the membrane that block the entry of the additional sperms. Thus, it ensures that only one sperm can fertilize an ovum. The secretion of the acrosome helps the sperm enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum through the zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. This induces the completion of the meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. The second meiotic division is also unequal and results in formation of a second polar body and a haploid ovum, which is otid. Soon the haploid nucleus of the sperms and that of the ovum fuse together to form a diploid zygote. How many chromosomes will be there in the zygote? One has to remember that the sex of the baby has been decided at this stage itself. Let us see how. As you know, the chromosome pattern in the human female is XX and that in the male is XY. Therefore, all the haploid gametes, which is ova, produced by the female have the sex chromosome X, whereas in the male gametes, which is sperms, the sex chromosome could be either X or Y. Hence, 50% of sperms carry the X chromosome while the other 50% carry the Y. After fusion of the male and female gametes, the zygote would carry either XX or XY depending on whether the sperm carrying X or Y fertilize the ovum. The zygote carrying XX would develop into a female baby and XY would form a male. You will learn more about the chromosomal pattern in chapter 5. That is why scientifically it is correct to say that the sex of the baby is determined by the father and not by the mother. The meiotic division starts at the zygote moves through the stemmas of the oviduct and called cleavage. The mitotic division starts as the zygote moves through the stemmas of the oviduct called cleavage towards the uterus, which is given in figure 3.11, and forms 2, 4, 8, 16 daughter cells called blastomers. The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomers is called a morula, which is given in figure 3.11e. The morula continues to divide and transform into blastocyst, which is given in figure 3.11g, as it moves further into the uterus. The blastomers in the blastocyst are arranged into an outer layer called the trophoblast and an inner group of cells attached to the trophoblast called the inner cell mass. The trophoblast layer then gets attached to the endometrium and the inner cell mass gets differentiated as the embryo. After attachment, the uterine cells divide rapidly and covers the blastocyst. As a result, the blastocyst become embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, which is given in figure 3.11h. This is called implantation and it leads to pregnancy.